You know, every single business on the planet faces this huge multi-million-dollar question. What are our customers actually going to want tomorrow or next week or even next year? If you get it right, you absolutely thrive, but get it wrong and, well, things can go south pretty fast. For decades, this whole idea of demand forecasting has felt more like an art than a science. But all of that is changing. We're going to take a look at how AI is turning all that guesswork into a real, tangible competitive advantage.
But first, let's start with a little reality check. This number, 7%. That represents the tiny, tiny fraction of companies that feel they have a highly accurate forecast. Think about that. It means 93% of businesses, the vast majority, are making massive decisions about inventory, staffing, and marketing based on what are essentially fuzzy numbers.
And that really brings us to the core question here. Why are we so bad at this? The truth is, the world is just complex. Markets are volatile, and the old ways of trying to predict the future, they just can't keep up anymore.
So what's at the heart of all this? It's what we can call the accuracy problem. For years, we pretty much relied on traditional methods, mostly just looking at last year's sales in a spreadsheet. But those simple tools are just no match for today's wildly dynamic world. This chart really shows where most companies live, right in that typical accuracy range, around 75%. And that doesn't sound terrible, right? But that gap, that 10 or 20 points between typical and high accuracy, that's not a gap, it's a chasm. It's where profits just disappear into stockouts, excess inventory, and totally wasted resources. It is an incredibly expensive place to be.
So how in the world do we close that gap? Well, this is where AI steps onto the scene. It's really emerging as a true game changer, and it's promising not just to nudge the needle a little bit, but to fundamentally rewire how forecasting actually works.
All right, so what is AI-powered demand forecasting? Look, it's not magic. It's basically using machine learning algorithms to analyze massive, and I mean massive, diverse sets of data in real time to predict what's coming next. It goes so far beyond just looking at what you sold last year.
And here's where the secret sauce is. It's the sheer breadth of data it can analyze all at once. It's not just looking at your past sales anymore. It's connecting that data with things like weather patterns, economic news, what's trending on social media, what your competitors are promoting, and even real-time logistics data coming straight from your supply chain.
So let's actually put these two approaches head to head, because this is where you can really see the AI advantage light up.
The difference is pretty stark, right? The traditional way is rigid. It's always looking backwards at historical sales. AI is forward-looking. It's constantly learning from all that diverse data we just talked about, but pay close attention to that human role line. Instead of your team getting bogged down in endless manual adjustments, their expertise gets elevated. They provide the strategic context, working with the AI to make way smarter decisions. AI thrives on the complexity that just breaks those old models.
Okay, so theory is great, but what does this actually look like out in the real world? Let's talk about tangible results and hard numbers. This is where AI forecasting really proves its worth.
And the results are immediate. Companies that implement AI are reporting a staggering 20 to 50% reduction in forecast errors. Just let that sink in for a second. That's not a small tweak. It's potentially cutting the number of times you're wrong in half. Imagine what it would mean to eliminate half of your stockouts or half of your clearance rack overstocks.
And better accuracy translates directly to the bottom line. On average, businesses are seeing a 10% drop in their warehousing costs. And why is that? Because when you know almost exactly what you need and when you need it, you stop paying rent to store things that are just sitting there collecting dust.
Now here's a number that really stands out. An electronics wholesaler achieved 85% accuracy when forecasting demand for brand new products. This is famously one of the hardest things to predict because you have zero historical sales data to go on. Hitting this level of accuracy means your new products hit the ground running instead of just stumbling out of the gate. And look, this isn't just for a few specialized companies. Giants like Walmart are all in. They use AI to connect their sales data with local events and even the weather, making sure that a store in Miami is stocked totally differently than one in Denver on any given weekend, all based on what its specific customers are about to want.
So, okay, the results are compelling, but how do you actually get started? It might seem a little daunting, but implementation is actually a pretty clear, manageable process.
First off, let's just bust a common myth that holds so many companies back. This idea that you need perfectly clean, pristine data to even start. The reality is, modern AI is robust. It's designed for the real world, and it can handle and often help clean up the messy, imperfect data that every single business has. Don't let a desire for perfection stop you from making progress.
So the path forward really involves a few key stages. It starts with choosing user-friendly tools, but the tech is just the start. The real power gets unlocked when you integrate all those different data sources we talked about. And from there, it's all about people, training your team to interpret the AI's insights and always keeping human expertise in the loop for that crucial context. This isn't a one-and-done setup. It's a continuous cycle of monitoring and improving.
When you put all of this together, what you get is something that's more than just an operational upgrade. AI forecasting becomes your new competitive edge.
This is the fundamental shift in mindset that happens. You move away from reactive firefighting, that constant scramble when a forecast goes wrong, and you move into a proactive strategy. You're no longer just responding to the market, you're actually anticipating its next move.
Ultimately, this is the evolution of forecasting. It used to be an educated guess, right? A mix of institutional memory and a gut feeling, way more art than anything else. With AI, it becomes what it always should have been, a precise, data-driven science that actively pushes the business forward.
Which really just leaves one final question for you to think about in your own organization. Are your forecasting tools simply projecting the past, or are you building the intelligence you need to own the future?